Hi, I'm doing a God Monarch Deck Profile. So let's just get started. For monsters, you have 3 Treeborn Frogs. After Treeborn Frogs, you have 3 Dupe Frogs because they all search for a frog monster when they're sent from the field to the graveyard, which is great for getting any of your Treeborns back or getting them out of your deck if you don't have any, or swap frogs. Next, I run 2 swap frogs. When they're summoned, you can send 1 level 2 or lower water monster from your deck to your graveyard. So once again, to get out more Treeborn Frogs. And I run 1 Rodent Totem, just because when you have Dupe Frogs in your graveyard, they don't have any purpose anymore really. So you can banish 1 frog monster from your graveyard to special summon it. And it works to help get your higher level monsters out because Treeborn only gets he only gets special summoned if you have 1 on the field and you have no spell or traps, or if you have none on the field, I mean. So yeah, it helps to get 2 out to get a bigger monster out. Next, I run 3 Amaryllises, or however you'd say that. What you do is you try to get them in your graveyard, and when they're in your graveyard, you can banish it to make something tribute summon for 1 less. So if you have like 2 of these in your graveyard, you can normal summon like a level 7 or higher without tributing, which is really nice. Next, I run 3 Battle Faders, just because it's good for stalling if you don't have a Treeborn Frog, Dupe Frog, or Swap Frog, if that situation happens to occur. For Monarchs in here, I have 3 Caius, because their effect is just amazing. You get to banish a monster, and it's really good for countering decks these days. After that, I have 2 Rysas, and what they do is they send the top card, or that you pick a card on the field and you send that to the top of the opponent's deck, so it wastes their draw phase and it compulses it, which is really nice. I have 1 Jinzo in here, because a lot of decks have a lot of heavy back row. So,
sexy.
Oh god. So yeah, Jinzo is really helpful to have. I have Light and Darkness Dragon because its negates are really good, and when it dies, it destroys all cards you control, and you can special summon 1 monster from your graveyard, which could be any of the Monarchs, Jinzo, or a few other monsters coming up. It cannot be special summoned itself, though. I run White Knight Dragon because during either player's turn, when a spell or trap card targets this card, you can negate the activation and destroy it. It's really nice. It's kind of like Light and Darkness, but it keeps out a 3,000 attack beater. So it's kind of hard to get around. Next, I have Gores, token with Gores. Yeah, everyone knows what Gores does. Control no cards, you get attacked, you get attacked. You can special summon it, and it gains 1 of the 2 effects that it has. Meaning, if it's battle damage from a monster attack, you get the token out, and it has attack and defense equal to that. Or if it's from an effect, the opponent takes that as well as you do. So yeah. I run 1 Tragodia. I had 2 in here, but then it got too cloggy because I felt like I didn't use them nearly as much as I could have, and it just wasn't necessary with this deck. After that, I run Slifer and Obelisk. What Slifer does, well, they both take 3 tributes, so what Slifer does is, it's like Tragodia. Every card in your hand, it gains 1,000 attack and defense, and while it's on the field, any monster summoned from your opponent's side, on summon it loses 2,000 attack, and if the attack hits 0 of the monster, it's instantly destroyed. What Obelisk does is, it's got 4,000 attack and defense set, and it cannot be targeted by any card effects. And for both of them, the normal summon cannot be negated, and they also are not able to, no card effects can be activated the turn that they're normal summoned. So yeah, Obelisk is really hard to get around, along with Slifer. Next, you run Holy Trinity up here. Pretty self-explanatory. 3 soul exchanges for clearing your opponent's field. So let's say they have a monster out, you can tribute it without getting rid of your own, and you can get Ryza out, let's say, or Caius for that matter. Or if you already have a Treeborn out on there, you can get out something like White Knight Dragon. Next, you run 3 enemy controllers, just because the constant annoyance of being able to tribute summon him when he comes back every turn when you have no spell or traps, or Treeborn already on the field. If face up.
Who gave you this nice one?
So yeah, you can. This first effect is it's a book of life basically, or whatever. It changes the battle position of one monster on the field that you choose, or you can tribute a monster, which should be like a Treeborn, and you take control of an opponent's monster till the end phase, and you can use that monster to like tribute it for once again one of your Monarchs or something. I run one March of the Monarchs. What that card does is tribute summon monsters you control cannot be targeted by card effects, and you cannot special any monsters from your extra deck. So that's a downside to it, but if you're running this deck, it shouldn't bother you at all, really, because it's like safe zone, basically, for any of the monsters you put out, because you should basically only be tributing. I have a double summon, because if you start out first turn with something like Treeborn and Caius, you can put Treeborn down, tribute him for Caius first turn, and you know it's pretty gay. I have the Solemn Duo that I run for obvious reasons, and then at the end I have one Mirror Force in here.
Alright, show us the extra deck.
Extra deck is all 1s, 2s, and 6s. So I have 2 Slacker Magicians. It's 2 level 1 monsters, so it's like if you have a Battle Fader out and a Treeborn, and you do not have a higher level monster with you. Once per turn, this card cannot be destroyed by battle. And if a card effect targets this card to destroy it, you can detach 1 and you you negate the activation and destroy the card. So yeah, this card's pretty good. Next, I have Shiny Elf and Gachi Gachi for level 2s. Yeah. So Gachi Gachi, everyone knows what he does. And then Shining Elf is 2 level 2 monsters, so same with Gachi. Shining Elf does, when your opponent normal or special summons a monster, you can detach 1 and destroy the monster loses 1 attack, or 500 attack, my bad. So yeah, that's good at keeping your opponent's monsters weak. Next, I have 3 level 6s, and they take 2 level 6 monsters total each. My favorite of the 3 would have to be Swordbreaker, because once per turn you can detach 1 XYZ material from this card to declare 1 monster type. This card gains the following effect. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles a monster of a type that has been declared, destroy that monster. It's basically a guaranteed kill with that. And then people know what Photon Strike Bouncer is. And then Chronomy Atlantis, it's more, I'd use this if it was more of like a stalling situation because it has 3000 defense. Not so much for an offensive, because if I really need an offense, you can use one of these two, seeing as how they have 2700 attack. And if you don't know what Photon Strike Bouncer does, it's once per turn during either player's turn, when a monster effect is activated on your opponent's side of the field, you can attach 1 XYZ material from this card, negate the effect, and if you do, inflict 1000 damage to your opponent. Overall, just really strong cards.
Alright, side deck.
What I side is a Divine Wrath. You discard 1 card and you negate the activation of an effect monster and destroy it. And there's a lot of effect monsters that like to get out huge chains and combos to OTK you these days, so it works really well. Like if you're playing, let's say Dragon Rulers and they drop down a Sparks, and you like went first, you can have this card down and pitch whatever card you have in your hand that you don't need. Or like say you have a Treeborn, I mean that's even better. It's killing 2 birds with 1 stone, and you can destroy Sparks without them letting their combo out. I run 2 Dark Bribes, negate the activation of a spell or trap card and destroy it, and your opponent draws 1 card. And it's not a bad trade-off. It's kind of like a Solemn Warning or a Solemn Judgment, but it's a lot less intense on your life points in case you don't have much or you don't want to lose a lot at the beginning. Next, I have 2 Froggy Force Fields. What they do is that it's a Mirror Force, but for any of my frog monsters. So that goes for Treeborn here, Dupe, or Swap Frog. Any of these 3. It Mirror Forces on your opponent for any of them that are attacked. And I would side these in if I'm taking, like if I can't get any monsters that day, it seems like, or I'm just being around a lot and I can't get any high levels out right then. This works really, really well. I have a second Jinzo sighted, just because if they're really, really that trap heavy, I'd like to run 2 instead, just to make sure I can keep their back row in check. I have 1 Max C, in a situation where you're playing something like 6 Samurai, Dragon Ruler, or Mermails. If any of them get their combo off and you have a Max C already dropped, it works really, really great. I have a third Swap Frog sighted, where if I put that in if I feel like I'm not having enough lower monsters out, or I can't get them out in time. Copycat. What Copycat does is it takes the attack and defense of 1 face-up monster your opponent controls and copies it, like its name would say. And it's good if they have a really strong monster that you can't get around with anything, or you just keep getting shut down. So I would throw a Copycat in there, and let's say it gets like Blaster out there from like a Dragon Rulers, and then I copy the 2800, I can suicide this card along with Blaster, and they both be destroyed, and it can clear the field for you. I have a Vanity's Fiend in here. What this card does is 6-star, so it only takes 1 tribute, 2400 attack, 1200 defense, and if it's on the field, you cannot special summon any monsters. Neither player can. So if you are ahead and they have nothing on the field, is cleared, and you get Vanity Fiend out there, there's a low chance that they're going to be able to come back right then, because it's so good at preventing anything from happening, from any monster combos getting put out to get a higher monster to destroy this. I run 1 Foolish Burial in my side deck, because once again it's kind of situational if I'm like feeling unlucky that day and I'm just not getting any Treeborn out, or if I really need to get an Amaryllis out, because if I use this on either one of them, you know, they both work in my graveyard really well. So yeah, it sets up a lot of plays if I need it in there actually. And last, I run Zero Force. What Zero Force does is activate only when a face-up monster you control is removed from play. The attack of all face-up monsters on the field becomes 0. So it's nice if you get, like, if someone's running 3 D prisons, or like they try to macro Cosmos you. Yeah, it works like that. So if they like have a whole thing set up and they kill a face down of yours when you're trying to stall and their macro Cosmos is out, or a D fissure, then this will just mess their day up, because everything on their field they can't hurt you with, and they actually stay 0. And yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching. Fucking whooper.